Welcome back, everyone, to DSP versus the Internet, episode 57 for March 24th, 2024. We're now heading into the second half of the show, which is all submissions tier, meaning these are videos from the submissions tier of membership here. They are put into a randomized playlist. I hit shuffle, and so we're kind of starting right in the middle here. I don't even know. I think this is going to be, yet again, another Warhammer submission. In the last few weeks, seems like every week someone submits some videos about Warhammer. It's been fascinating for me because I don't know anything about Warhammer. So I'm learning on the fly as we watch these videos. And let's see. So this is Adepticon. I don't know what Adepticon, like adept. What does that have to do with Warhammer? I don't know.
People come from all over the world to Adepticon, North America's premier miniatures and wargaming convention. Vendors, painters, hobbyists, artists,
so it's a miniatures convention. It's not just Warhammer.
Get together in the Renaissance Schomburg to take part in something that somehow magically seems to exceed the sum of its component parts. In this video, I'm going to tell you about my experience at Adepticon 2023 and try to explain why cons are so special and why you should go to one. Let's get into it.
See, you want to know the truth? Like this
year I was rooming with
this con seems much smaller than the cons today of video games. When I was just starting on YouTube and you would go to like a video game convention, it would look just like this con does today in 2023. But I'm going to understand video game conventions have absolutely exploded in popularity to the point where now they're just like heavily commercialized events. That looks like grassroots, people who really are like huge fans of it, getting together to hang out. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a smaller scale. In a lot of cases, the smaller scale is better, because it makes it feel more personal, more interesting when it comes to meeting people or whatever. It's not just being pushed around from panel to panel. A content creator here, a game developer here, a publisher here. You know what I'm saying? So it looks pretty neat, actually.
Two friends, Trent from Miscast and Bill from Berserker Works, and we were staying in a hotel a few minutes away from the convention center. This gave us an opportunity to take in some of Schomburg's natural splendor on the walk over there. And Trent, who's an Aussie, got a chance to see his first
snow.
This is the best day ever.
He'd never seen snow before? Wow.
Oh, that feels weird, huh?
On the first day, there was a big meetup event for creators, and we ran into some friends. This is the first point that I want to talk about that makes conventions so great. Friendships. It's great if you go to a convention with friends, or if you have friends you plan to meet there. But even if you don't, a convention is a great place to make new friends. Everyone's in a good mood, and everyone already has the same shared interest, so conversations flow easily. I made a lot of new friends this con, and when you're my age and you work from home, that's rare, man. One of my favorite things to do is check out the painting competitions. That's the second reason I think you should go to cons, to be around the incredible artistic talent. One of the coolest parts about these painting competitions is that some of the most incredible painters in the world are just standing around with no indication of their power level, just pretending to be normal people. And you can ask them for advice. Bill entered an incredible diorama in the Golden Demon this year, and after the competition, he asked for feedback from some of the top guys.
And things growing on
I sat nearby and watched as multiple Slayer Sword winner Andy Wardle gave Bill some pointers, and I feel like just hearing him discuss how he looks at the piece made me a better painter. I also got a chance to ask Sam Len some questions, and his answers were very illuminating. And of course, legendary painting wizard Vince Venturella also makes himself available all the time. Now, one of the major highlights...
I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So Mr. Meatball said, would I ever consider doing a Dark Side con for my fans? Well, let's see. Typically, people who get 289 viewers on a stream don't have enough demand to hold a con for themselves. I'm just saying. You know, back in the day, when I was first at the height of my YouTube popularity, you're on 2012-ish or whatever, and I went to cons, I had actual, panels where the room was pretty full, not all the way, but good amount of people would show up. They would line up for, an autograph or a meet and greet, photo or whatever. I was a guest at a few cons where there was that level of interest, but today no one would care. Today you just get people there to take pictures with an internet meme and troll and be stupid, there's no point. I mean, I've long past the point where I would ever have any demand for something like that. Nobody cares about that shit, Sad but true. I enjoy my very modest level of success where I am now, making content and evolving and doing different stuff, but I don't think anyone's going to care to ever meet me in person, so.
Of conventions for most people is the gaming. I didn't participate in any tournaments, but I did have a big Warhammer Fantasy battle scheduled with Trent. My Vampire Count's army against his Chaos Demons. Here's how that went. First of all,
His demons
huge
are like
shout-out to
blue
everyone in
and
the
red
Grimdark side room,
neon
which was
colors. Did
reserved
you
for
see that?
Mordheim and other shenanigans, who kindly let Trent and I use the table to play our game. If you tuned into my last video, you'll know that I brought a Vampire Count's army, 3,000 points of undead warriors ready to claw apart the enemy in their cold, dead hands. Trent brought an army of Tzeentch demons,
Look at those
custom
things.
sculpted and cast in insanely vibrant resins. My camera does not do them justice. Trent gave me one to take
Whoa!
home. And have a look how they look under UV light.
That's cool. They glow.
cool. So we deployed opposite each other in 2 classic battle lines with some lone terrain, and it was on.
Yeah, remember he
Let me
said
give
this
you
would
a
be a unique fight because the demons aren't afraid of the like vampire army or whatever, the undead army, because they're demons. They don't care, right?
Couple highlights. First thing I did was summon a so-called speed bump formation of the zombies in front of one of his units. Unfortunately, that unit was full of screamers, literally the only unit in the game that can destroy another unit simply by flying over it. So that was dumb. Off to a bad start. But elsewhere, things went really well. I advanced my whole battle line up with the wolves racing up the left flank, and Trent, bless his courage, decided to put his demon prince in the cemetery, challenging my Black Knights and Zombie Dragon. Now, if you watched the last video, you may recall that my Black Knights were led by a White Lord with the Cursed Book, making them more difficult to hit in close combat. The Zombie Dragon also has a special ability called the Cloud of Flies that makes it harder to hit.
So
This means
technical.
Trent's attacks were all resolved
Again,
on
this is
-2.
like this is like Baldur's Gate 3. This is like D&D, but with miniatures, right? This is like, oh yeah, he had an accessory that made him harder to hit, and this and that. Like, oh my god, so you have to freaking sit there calculating shit to figure out how you're gonna play. It's like crazy, crazy
I
complicated.
killed his demon prince, and elsewhere, his battle line started to crumble. A few bad rolls, and Trent hardly had any models left on the table, and the game was over soon after. Now, I'm not gonna bother telling you who won or who lost, because it doesn't matter who went howling back to the Chaos Wastes and who reclaimed the graveyard for the glory of the Countess. It just doesn't matter. What matters is that we had a great time. Now, if you guys would like to see a full battle report against a different force of this army, hit the
That's neat. I think it's enough of this video, but that's neat to see like to understand how the fight went and everything. I wonder how long it took, because I would think these fights, if they're just a quick routing, they could be just like half an hour. But it could be like hours and hours of doing these rolls and fighting and everything, right? It's such an elaborate thing with all these units. It probably takes a long ass time, right? There you go. Nick says, I see Asterion wearing your stolen gear right there on the field. There he is. He's dancing across. He's going like this. He's going, "Boo! I got your fucking gear. Boo! Got your Constitution necklace, bitch. All right. What is this?
In fighting games, win quotes have traditionally been one of the few moments you can learn about a character's backstory and personality. But in the first Street Fighter, you would actually see a lose quote each time you defeated your opponent.
Yep.
The first line is a compliment, but the very next sentence is pretty salty. Sometimes a lose quote can say more about someone than their win quote.
The effects of salt. Oh, that's pretty funny.
And this is why there's a Twitter user known as ScrubQuotesX whose feed is full of salty lose quotes from people who lost in a fighting game.
Yep.
Losing sucks, and it's why game developers have made all sorts of ways to make it suck less. There are now checkpoints, continues, difficulty levels, hints, and of course, the white Tanuki suit.
This everyone's a winner stuff is a bunch of bullshit. If you suck, you should lose.
Generally, you can reduce the amount of losing by making a game easier to beat, but this doesn't work with head-to-head competitive games because both players are trying to win. No matter how easy or accessible you make the game,
Why are they showing
one
this?
of the two players is going to lose.
Paper covers rock. This is my room. No!
This means one-on-one games will necessarily result in half the player base experiencing a loss at any given time, and this generates a lot of salt and consequently a lot of complaints.
You lose, you feel bad, and you stop playing.
Correct.
DBFZ is really easy to play, but if someone's better than you, you don't get to play. Casuals just don't want to get steamrolled in a fighting game.
What is it about these games that make people so salty to the point where salt is ingrained in fighting game culture, and how does it affect us?
You gotta be salty after that, because he hadn't won the previous round.
The answer lies in the heart of Scrub Quotes.
He broke
If
his
you look at
fucking
these
day.
comments, there's an underlying theme that's repeated over and over again: fairness. Sense of fair play has been demonstrated by primates in an experiment involving two.
Well, for me, where most of my salt comes from in fighting games, all right, honestly, it comes from the modernization of a fighting game to the point where the level of skill required to perform at a high level has just been dumbed down more and more and more and more over the years. So, for example, if you're playing a classic fighting game from the 1990s, the skill level to actually enter a tournament and perform and do well and beat people is very high. Not only is there execution with your controller, the joystick, which it was back then. Back then, there were no game pads at these. It was all joysticks. So not only do you have to practice and be good at execution, which is much harder back then than it is today, but then you had to have knowledge of all these matchups and everything, and you could only do that by traveling and playing people from all over the country. There was no internet. So because of that, you couldn't just immediately study a few videos and absorb all the knowledge right away. All right? What's happened is over the last 30 years, fighting game inputs are dumbed down. There's almost no entry level anymore. Like, there's no skill check of doing a combo or a move. It's all easy to do. It's all easy execution, right? It's more about timing, and it's more about consistency than anything else now, right? Sadly, what happens is fighting games become more of a guessing game rather than an execution game. And because of that, I don't like when you go online and someone found this one thing that they can abuse online and do it over and over. And because you're playing online, you just cannot react to it. So it's just ridiculously overpowered. So you might say, well, that's unfair because he just said justice fair. Is it fair? Is it fair that there are certain things in an online environment that are just so abusable that you can't really beat them? Right? That's what gets me about modern fighting games. That's what gets me super salty. I always say, if I lose in a modern fighting game, but I learned something, I was outplayed, I was tricked, I was mixed up and fooled, and now that's a tactic that I can learn later on and adapt my gameplay to, then I don't care that I lost. At least I learned something with that loss. But when you lose because someone's doing the same fucking thing over and over and over and over and over and over, and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do? The game won't give me an opportunity to react. I'm playing online, so already my reactions are going to be slower. And when I'm trying to do something around it, it just keeps fucking coming out, hit me. What do you want me to do? And that's where my salt comes from with modern fighting games. I don't care about losing. I care about losing and learning nothing, because it seems like a brainless idiot on the other side was just going dur, dur, dur over and over. And it's such an abusable tactic online. So I don't actually know. I think he's going to probably analyze it differently, only because this might apply more to offline play as well. I haven't played a fighting game offline in so long. I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like, all the commentary I do about fighting games is online play, right? Offline, it could be a totally different situation. But let's just watch a little bit of this before we get to the next. But let's see what he has to say about it.
Monkeys in cages next to each other. After being completely fine eating cucumbers, the monkey on the left sees the other one getting the more delicious grape for doing the same task.
C gives a rock to us now. Gets again cucumber.
He threw it.
The result is primal rage.
That was great.
This inspired similar experiments like the one with wolves pressing a buzzer to get food. According to the researcher, when the inequity was greatest, they stopped working. I think he was so frustrated he broke the apparatus. The wolf literally rage quit and broke his controller.
There you go.
These parallels to human behavior might seem kind of funny, but the experiments were designed to put the animals in an actual unfair situation. In fighting games, people get into situations that seem unfair, but it's usually because they're lacking certain knowledge or skill. For example, if you don't know how to block in Street Fighter, it's simply impossible to escape this. Because no amount of button mashing will change the situation, Salty Guy might be compelled to say,
My buttons don't work.
if he learns his buttons work fine, he might accuse his opponent of playing dishonorably.
That move is broken.
I like to call this the Scrub Lord's Prayer, which goes like this. My controls weren't working, and if they were, you were playing dishonorably, and if you weren't, you were playing without skill. And if you were, it's not fun to play that way. And if it is, then you only care about winning.
That's actually... Oh, it went off the screen because I was going to analyze that and it went away. That's absolutely correct. That's actually the progression of anger when you're playing against someone in a fighting game. That's the level. It goes this, then this, then this, then this, then this. It's just, it keeps going down and down and down. So he's absolutely right. At a core fundamental level, that is absolutely correct. What that fails to factor in is online play. And that's the problem. That online, even if you have the knowledge of something, sometimes you still can't beat it because the online component adds levels of delay, levels of dropped inputs that makes it kind of unfair to react to. That's why when you're looking at Street Fighter 6 and you go online and you're in master level, why is it that you see a zillion Lukes, Kens, Juris, DJs? You notice they all play exactly the same too? Just watch their gameplay level. They all do the same shit. It's a constant rush down in your face. Why is it so effective? Because online, you can't counter it. Online, that added level of latency or delay makes it's so hard. Not saying it's impossible, but man, it makes it so hard to beat that it becomes incredibly dominant. And that's why you don't see people playing at a high level with other characters. They just can't. They can't hang with it because online has become so dominant. Offline, well, guess what? In Street Fighter 6, it's almost the same. Really, it's almost the same. If you take a look at Capcom Cup and the representation of fighters, sadly, what it proved is that basically Capcom didn't balance the game. They made Rushdown so much of a very strong tool in the game that all Rushdown characters won, right? Literally every Rushdown character is in the top placings at Capcom Cup. But he's right, like that level, it sucks because I missed the frame. I don't want to rewind and fuck the video up. But that's exactly the level of progression that you get when you get upset at a fighting game. You'll say, this is it. If it's not this, then it's this, then it's this, then it's this. That's exactly the order, too. He got it right. That was completely correct.
We know all of this is nonsense because Guy just doesn't know how to block. Of course, it's easy to roll your eyes here because it's so patently obvious his salt is talking, but people can also say these things at higher levels of play. Blocking a sweep might be obvious to most of you, but not as many will understand why Ryu is able to hit Sagat here when his foot doesn't even come close to him. Normally this attack will whiff crouching opponents because his kick is too high. Makes sense. But if you block an attack standing and crouch right afterwards, there's a brief moment where this game treats you like a standing opponent even when you're visibly crouching. This is how Ryu is able to hit Sagat even when it looks like he's kicking the air. For players learning about this for the first time, it can understandably seem like an unfair exploitation of a glitchy game engine.
You're just exploiting a bug.
But for players who have seen this 100
not a
times,
bug.
it's just called fuzzy guard break, and it's an extra option that gives the game a pinch more depth without breaking it.
Dashing under.
Even on Cammy.
This is why people say get good. Things seem unfair until you find a good way to beat it. But maybe all this get good talk sounds elitist.
Ugh. Well, this video is too long. I would like to watch more of it, but again, not for a clip show. We're going to move forward now. But no, it's true. If you don't have knowledge of something, you will get angry at it and rage at it. And that's honestly, that's what got me heated about Tekken 8. Unlike in Street Fighter 6, where I knew what was going on and I just couldn't counter it because Rushdown's way overpowered and online play. In Tekken 8, I just had complete lack of knowledge, complete lack of character knowledge and everything. And Tekken 8 is one of those games you actually need to know everything. You need to know every single character build, what their moves are, if they're high, low, you know, everything. And if you don't know it, you get dominated. Like, there are people who just beat me with just throw because I don't know the button input to break the throw. It could be left punch, right punch, or both punches together. So I'm trying and I just can't get it. And because of that, I lose an entire match because the guy just threw a million times and I couldn't figure it out. That's why I got salty over Tekken 8, for sure. 100% lack of knowledge. I wasn't angry at the online play. I was just angry that people found these abusable things online that if you don't have the knowledge, the basic knowledge of how to counter it, you just lose entirely. And that's the level. When I was at purple level in Tekken 8, that's where I got. I needed to absorb an insane amount of character knowledge to proceed, and I just didn't have the time to do it. I wasn't going to sit there and play Tekken 5-6 times a week to learn it. So that was the top level of skill I was ever going to achieve in that game. I truly feel that even if I grinded more with Yoshimitsu, I probably would have been in purple like forever. I never would have gotten out of purple because I don't play it enough, you know? Okay. There I Ruined It Productions. This is North Korea, obviously. So, Always Look on the Bright Side of Life is a song from Monty Python, correct? Monty Python's, which movie was it? Which Monty Python movie was that did it end with? Because it was basically like a bunch of horrible things going on in the movie. And then the song, Always Look on the Bright Side of Life would play. And it was supposed to be like an ultra dark comedy irony, right? But I can't, was it Life of Brian? The end of Life of Brian? Okay, maybe it was. Because Life of Brian's supposed to be a parody of Jesus. You know, the life of Jesus, or life of Christ. He's supposed to be like a parallel to Christ. And, you know, horrible things are happening at the end. And it's supposed to be, oh, you know, well, just look on the bright side of life. Was it Holy Grail? I can't remember which one it was. It was one of the Monty Python movies. So I'm trying to see how this is going to apply to Kim Jong-un here. And, and his people. can't hear the lyrics. It was Life of Brian. So you gotta wonder, I mean, obviously what they're trying to do here, they're taking a song that is not meant to be a serious song. It's supposed to be dark comedy at the end of a Monty Python movie, and they're applying it to say, what if this is really what it's like in North Korea? What if your whole life you're in this totalitarian regime, you're not allowed to really think or act for yourself, you just have to obey, right? And they're just told, just look on the bright side of life. Look at the good things that we have, and that's it. That's just how it is. Maybe that's what this is getting at, right? Okay. He's gonna play a whole song using. Is this Ocarina? Who? And what version is there a band? Africa by Toto on the instruments in Majora's Mask. Oh, okay. I don't remember this from Majora's Mask. That's pretty cool. Recorded his DS, you know, a million times to get all these sounds. I don't remember this in Majora's Mask, the band. Oh my god. Octorok Link. That's neat. You can only do this on the DS version, right? Oh, well, actually, I only played Majora's Mask once. He's like, oh, it's one of the main masks in the game, laughing out loud. I've only played it once, ever. And it was like ages ago for YouTube. I don't remember the game, right? I don't remember that much from it. Oh, this is Link in a mask. He becomes these characters? Oh, I got it. They're all Link in different masks. Okay. That's a pretty good rendition. Dun, 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 dun. Ba-bum, ba-bum. Pleasing, it's pleasant. Pleasant song. Alright, pretty good. Big fat frown. 2.3 million views on that. That was well done. Alright, I think this is where we'll end this part. We still have an hour left of DSP versus the internet this week. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next part.